Hello, everyone. I should say good afternoon. We're right on the dot of morning and afternoon. So the first thing I'm going to do is go through the slides presentation because I would rather have you understand the logic between creating the financial statements and Excel, and then at the end of these slides, we'll go into the actual application. So I am going to start the slide presentation. One important note, I've had several clients mention to me that with the web version, they can't do financials anymore. And I think where that confusion has come from is if you have your financials set up with financial line item maintenance, those need to be converted to the financial line express setup. So that's what we're going to focus on is creating the financial statements in the financial line express setup. And we're actually going to go through the order that you will do when you're in the database. The first thing that you will do is create the Excel template. What Profit 21 does is it actually takes the data from Profit 21 and does it onto the Excel template. So you will map it, you will tell it what data to put in what row on the Excel template. And that we do in the financial line express setup is where we tell the system how to map it. The financial statement maintenance is the same thing you did for your prior version for in the financial line item maintenance. I'm sorry, all these window names are very similar. It's the same thing. There's only one difference, and I will show you what that difference is. The financial line express setup is actually where you do most of your work. That's where you're going to map all your GL accounts to where the data is going to total, where it's going to be merged together and put on your worksheet. And the generating financial statements is a simple click of a button. And you're also doing that in the same window is where you set them up. Your Excel workbook, it must be in Excel 2007 and later. So if you have a worksheet that's Excel 2003, all you have to do is open it up and save it as whatever version Excel is running on your server. But it has to be later than 2007. In the desktop version, when you're doing your financial setup, the columns are numeric. So if in your Excel worksheet, if it's column A, you're using 1. If it's column B, you're using 2. In the web version, you're actually using the alpha. So it would be the exact same as what's in the Excel workbook. And I already mentioned the Profit 21 dropping the data into the column and row that you've told P21 where to put it. So here's the desktop version. I have the next screenshot will be the web version. So the report type is the only difference of how your financial report would be set up now if you set them up using the financial line item maintenance. The financial report ID is system assigned, so you have to leave that blank and the system will assign it. The financial report description will be the name of your report. The statement type, there's a drop-down box And your choices are balance sheet, profit and loss, or other. The reason to select the appropriate one, it ties to your general ledger chart of accounts. If you flag them as a balance sheet account or a revenue or an expense account. The application, you select the Excel version that you are using. So in my case, I have Excel 2016 that I created the financial statement templates in. So I chose Excel 2016. And then you have to browse to your file path. Because I am working in a demo database remotely, I have it on my C drive on my laptop. More than likely, yours is going to be in a shared folder that your company uses to store your files. On the detail portion, the lower portion of your screen, is where you're going to create your time periods, which will correspond with how your Excel spreadsheet is set up. So in this example for a balance sheet, current time period 1 is the current year and current period. So if I want to generate June 2021, it is this year, the period I enter, which would be the current period. It doesn't have to be, you could put in April and generate them for April. My second one is to have a column with prior year, because I only want to go 1 year back, so minus 1 year. And then my period is the same. I want to show June for last year. Or if when I generate the financial statement, if I put in April, I want April for last year. Just as a high level example, I did a financial statement for a client that they actually wanted to list every period in one worksheet. So we had time periods 1 through 12, and each period would be an increasing negative amount. So we had -1, -2, -3, all the way up to 12. And here's your web version. The screen looks slightly different. However, the data is all the same. You just have to get used to the visual appearance of it. I just put in a few examples of different time periods, just to make it easier to understand what you are doing with the time periods. So the financial line express setup, as I mentioned, that's where you're going to do your work. The column maintenance tab brings in the data from the financial statement maintenance record that you created. So it will have a drop down with the time periods. Only the time periods that you created in the financial statement maintenance record will appear here. Those are the only ones you can choose. If you get into this window and you decide you need another time period, you can go back to the financial statement maintenance record and edit it. You can add to it at any point. And I had already mentioned for the spreadsheet column, if you are in the web version, it's alpha. If you are in the desktop version, it's numeric. The account type is where you select what type of data you want to put on the report. So my example is the balance sheet. If you can visualize, we have column C with the current year, column D with the prior year. Well, because it's a balance sheet, I want cumulative data. So my account type is cumulative for both. If I were doing a profit and loss statement, I may want my first column to be the period data and my second column to be the year-to-date data, in which case then I would have period balance on my first row and cumulative on my second. You can also do quarters if your quarters are set up in fiscal year maintenance. So the row maintenance tab, just one second, I am going to put on a pointer. The row maintenance tab, here are your tabs. The row maintenance tab is just visual, and it will also bring whatever you type in here over into your account maintenance tab when you're actually linking your accounts in P21. You will want these row numbers to match your Excel worksheet. So on my Excel template, on row 6, I have cash and equipment. You do not have to enter the data exactly like it is on your Excel worksheet. I generally do copy and paste, so mine will match exactly instead of actually typing the data in. The reverse sign. This is to take your credits and have them print as a debit. Generally, when you're submitting a financial statement to your board of directors, to an outside source, for your assets, for your liabilities and owner's equity, you're not showing a negative amount. It's printing on the report as a positive amount. And that's what the reverse sign is. So you, for any asset and liability account, you'll want to check your reverse sign. Also for sales in the profit and loss statement, you would want to check your reverse sign. Oh, sorry, I need to go back. To make it easy to set this up and map these, what I normally do is I will print my worksheet and I make sure in Excel, it's the slide's awful small if you can see it. On page setup, I check row and column headings. So I want to print the column headings and the row numbers, and then it makes it easier to map when you're in P21 on your row maintenance tab. On your account maintenance tab is where you're actually going to link the accounts to the row that you want it to accumulate with and print on your financial statement. So for an example, if you're posting your sales by product group, you may have 10 sales accounts, but on your financial statement, you want to list one number for sales. All 10 accounts will actually list in this area. When you get at the bottom of the window on your account maintenance tab, you have a couple options down here. The show branches will allow you to select accounts for specific branches. For example, if you are doing a P&L statement by branch. Then you will want to have just the accounts for a specific branch. If you are doing a consolidated statement and you have the show branches unchecked, when you select the account, the system will automatically add all branches. Show assigned accounts will show you accounts that are already linked. If that is not checked, when you try to add an account, when you click the add from the right click option menu, when you click add and you get your search window, it will only show you accounts that have not previously been linked, which comes in really handy. After you link all your accounts, you're actually ready to generate your report. On the OLE criteria tab is where you enter the period and year for the report that you want to generate. Now, this is done every time you want to generate a report. P21 does not save this criteria when you finish generating the reports. And this is the period and year that you enter is your base period and year. So when we talked about setting up the time periods, and I had one for the current year and current period, I had all zeros in my parameter boxes. And then my second time period was prior year. So in this case, because I'm saying December 2020, the data that will be retrieved in my current year time box is December 2020. My second time period that I said was last year, a -1, will be December 2019. On the OLE company tab in the OLE branches tab, P21 gives you the option to include or exclude companies and branches. More than likely, you would only be running it for one company at a time, or the branches I generally take care of in the mapping. However, you can choose to do one or more branches. Again, this is not saved. It does default to select all companies, but it is your entry is not saved. You enter it every time you want to generate a report. This is optional. You'll see an icon that says load spreadsheet. What that does is it loads your blank template. You do not need to load the spreadsheet to generate your financial reports. Once you've entered your criteria, you decide which period and year you're going to run the report for. All you do is click OLE spreadsheet, which is this icon here. And P21 will populate the numbers for you. Once your spreadsheet has been generated, you can export it to Excel. In the desktop version, there's a little green X that looks like familiar with your Excel normal icons. In the web version, it's this arrow, drop down arrow to export it. When you click on it, you get your pop-up boxes on what type of file you want to save it as. Normally, it's going to be XLSX, your normal Excel workbook, and then you will choose your path. Okay. Well, we're not at the question and answer section yet. So now we're going to the desktop, and that will make more sense to you. First, I'll bring up my Excel spreadsheet. So column C is the current year to date. Column D is the prior year to date. Again, we're doing a balance sheet example. I've created my balance sheet template and I've saved it preferably in a shared drive folder. Here is our financial statement maintenance window. So let's call this. We call it a demo balance sheet. Here's the statement type, your drop down box where you want to select what type of financial statement it is. We'll go with balance sheet. Report type. It has to be the Financial Line Express setup if you're using it in the web version. Application, I am going to select Excel 2016 because that's what I saved my template in. And browse to your path. It's going to bring me to the path where I selected last time, which makes it nice. And because I've already had that template linked to another report, I'm just getting this little warning, but it's okay because I can use it in the same template for several reports. Time period. From the Excel spreadsheet, I have my 2 columns, so I have my 2 time periods this year and last year. So my first time period is this year. There is no base year offset. Whatever I enter on the criteria tab is the year I want. The same with the quarter and the same with the period. Now my second time period is last year. So it's minus 1 year from this year. I'm not using any quarters and I want the same period last year as this year. So I have a 0 in there also. And that's it. If you were doing, as I mentioned, a profit and loss where your first column is your period, your second column is year to date, third column is the same period prior year, and the fourth column is year to date prior year, I would have 4 time periods because I would have a minus, I'm sorry, I just said that wrong. I'm a screen ahead. You would only need your same 2 time periods. I'm going to save this. And I get a little note up here instead of the pop-up box that's in the desktop version that the file was actually saved. Oops. So now we come to the Financial Line Express setup window. And I'm going to retrieve the statement I just created, which was demo database balance sheet. My template has in column C, yes, in column C is my cumulative balance for this year. Zoom is not liking my mouse. Might make me, it's making me select it instead of typing it. It's my cumulative balance for this year, so I do not need to enter anything in my base year, base quarter, or base period. I apologize, my not recognizing my entering. Go with add. You should be able to enter just like in all the other windows in P21. You should be able to enter or tab to get a new row. But it looks like I'm having an issue with my keyboard. And again, I'm doing cumulative balance, but this time it's time period 2 because I want last year. And this will self-populate. I like to enter through and add a lot of rows before I start pasting in data. Just my own personal preference. Then I generally try to have my Excel worksheet, unless I have a printed copy in front of me, have my Excel worksheet up so I can just copy and paste. You have to do Control V and then just go down the report. I'm not going to take the time to do a lot of them. So right now we only have on row 6, cash and equivalent. I click on my account tab, I will see row 6 is cash and equivalents. You can paste an account number, you can manually type it in, or you can double click and drill down and select it. In this case, I want all of these cash accounts to appear on that row. So I am checking all 4 of them. If I flag the show branches, I will see each branch for each account. If I wanted to, I could select only branch 100. I'm going to select all of them. The show assigned accounts, we won't see anything right now because I haven't assigned any yet. So I'm going to click OK. And now these accounts are assigned. A month from now, I create a new cash account. I need to add it to the financial statement. I would go on any row under the cash and equivalents, and I'm going to right click and add, and I get a blank row. Doesn't matter where you put it. When you save it, the report's going to show a numerical order, account number numerical order anyway. So I'm going to go in and select another account, the new one. Let's say I just created petty cash and I want to put that in. So I can add petty cash. Same thing if you want to delete an account. I decided I just don't want this account for all branches. So I can click delete all branches and it's gone. I also recommend saving frequently. If I save it now, I can go pull it back up and finish it. You don't want to go in and lose all your work if you've typed in 40 rows in the row maintenance and you've linked 80 accounts. So I would stop and save it along the way. Once you've mapped all your accounts, you can go to your OLAY criteria tab. Again, I'm going to put in December 2020. And I click the OLAY icon. Because I only mapped the accounts for this row, that's the only data we're going to see. Except for this 2020, which is actually on the spreadsheet. I'm thinking I should probably stop and ask if there's any questions at this point. Instead of waiting till the Q&A.
We have not gotten any questions come in yet.
Is there any areas that any of the participants would like to go over again? It's an awful lot. No? Okay. Let's take a look at I am going to pull up, oops, profit and loss because it has more columns on it. So here's our Excel template for a profit and loss statement, income statement. We have column B for the current period, column D, current year to date, column F, current period of the prior years, and H, prior year to date. I'm going to clear this one. And we'll go back to this is going to be a new report type, financial line express setup, and it's the type is profit and loss statement. You can have your Excel worksheet up or you can have it printed out. So the time period, again, 1 is a current year. And 2 will be the prior year. For column maintenance, our first column we're going to put data in is column B. And it is a period balance. And it is this year. The next column we're going to put data in is column D. And it's a cumulative balance. For this year. And then column. These are the built-in financial statements that come with Profit 21, so I don't have the column memorized. So column F is the period balance for last year. Let me check. Time period 2. And our last column H is cumulative balance for last year. That's it. This is, oops. Yeah. This is usually the difficult tab that clients take a little bit of time to get used to, and that's why I went over it so many times. And I'm going to save this because we're not actually going to go through and do the whole maintenance, row maintenance and account maintenance setup now. But we can bring up the pre-existing one that is already mapped. So it's the same template. It just has all of the rows already mapped. And I will Olay spreadsheet. Oops. I skipped my Olay criteria tab. Again, I'm going to do period 12, 2020. And now I will Olay. So we have the data for December 2020 and December 2019, the prior year. Export it and save it. No, I don't want to open. The worst thing about exporting these statements is you can't put a date on it. The system doesn't populate a date. And so you have to open your Excel spreadsheet and label it December 2020, December 2019, and then save it again. Now we can go to the official question and answer session.
Okay, I have a question that came in that they said they might have missed this. It might have already been covered. Can you export financial statements to PDF format?
You can, you can when you have your save as type. However, it's going to be missing the dates.
Okay, we'll leave a few more moments for questions to come in. All right, another one. How long did it take you to learn how to use P21 general ledger functionality?
That's a good question. I think we need more details. Personally, not long, because applications I used prior to P21 were very similar. If you're not familiar with a lot of the functions in P21, so possibly you're new to the accounting area, or you've been using a very limited application, I would say maybe in 8 hours of training and you should be good to go. At the most, at the most. Now, if you mean just the financial, creating the financial statements, there again, if you had in-person training opposed to, you know, a demonstration through a webinar, I'd say maybe 2 hours.
All right, and another one, Excel Connect works with E10. Does it work with P21 as well?
Yes, it is. It's a little bit limited because of the pre-built-in fields that you can choose depending on what you're using it for. I have lots of clients who use it. I have other clients who use it, and then also do have some custom reports, but people are very happy with it.
All right, and another one, are there any limitations that you need to consider in your GL chart setup, things that will make it difficult to report against?
Yes. So if this is a new implementation, I would put some time in considering your account mask. So every business is unique. If you have branches, if you have departments, you need to look at how you want your mask set up, because you can wildcard in the financial statements. You can wildcard in any GL drill down when you're doing inquiries. So yes, definitely. And officially, you cannot change your account mask once you go live. Unofficially, it has been done. I'm sure that the script to do it is stored with support. You would have to engage them. It's an additional fee. It's not normal support, but it can be done.
All right, awesome. It looks like that's all of the questions that have come in. I'll give us about another 30 seconds to a minute if anyone has any questions that they're still maybe trying to type down. And then if not, we'll take a little bit of a longer break and meet back here at about 12:58 Eastern and take a poll a few minutes beforehand. But I do know that we also need to see the results from the last poll now that I'm mentioning that. If someone could share that, that might be a good thing to end on today. Awesome. So what reporting option do you use in your P21 installation? The majority is 43% crystal reports, P21 standard reports at 29%, SSRS 14, and extract to Excel 14. Thank you much. And no other questions have come in. So with that, I will go ahead and give you guys a little bit longer of a break, and we will see you back here at 12:58 Eastern.